Hey guys, Mel the Train Tutor here again, but not with a tutorial, with this time a bit of a discussion point. Don't worry, there's plenty of other tutorials coming. My desk is full of foam board bits and tubs of resin and all that sort of stuff, so they're coming. You know they're coming. It's the Train Tutor. Of course there's going to be tutorials coming, but today what I thought I'd do is I'd just have a little chat. Yeah? Now, it's about terrain, okay? And about 5 years ago, I was part of a blogging group, with my Imperial Guard blog called Bania Prime, and it was the From the Walk blogging group run by Ron. And I used to do guest tutorials and terrain bits on the main hub page. And I wrote this piece, and the idea behind the piece was pre-made terrain or manufactured terrain. Is it bad for the hobby? Okay. And it caused quite a bit of a stir. Now, my answer at the time was yes. Undoubtedly, I think pre-made terrain and manufactured terrain is bad for the hobby. Now, this decision was based on, at the time, there was only one real company making pre-made terrain in any real quantity. Yeah, the company that shall not be named, but you could get hills, woods, buildings, even the damn table made out of plastic. Yeah, okay. And what I was seeing is, as I was going around the blogs and I was seeing battle reports and photos of what people had been doing, it was all the same tables. It had all the same scenery on. Yeah. And so that, at the time, I was looking at it like, we're playing standardization, I'm looking at a picture from Britain, I'm looking at a picture from Australia, and I'm looking at a picture from America. And they've all got the same terrain on, exactly the same. Yeah. And so at the time I was quite, I didn't like it. There's skills and there's knowledge that's surrounded by terrain building, and it was getting lost. So what I thought I'd do is I'd have a quick chat and sort of like reevaluate my opinion and see if it still stands today. So 5 years on, is pre-made terrain bad for the hobby? Well, there's a lot more of it about now. There's a lot more manufacturers making terrain. You've got the MDF stuff, you've got the hard foam stuff. There's lots of resin manufacturers, although resin's going down in replace of hard foam because of shipping and that sort of stuff. But they're still out there, So we're seeing a lot more variation on our battlefields. We are seeing a lot more variation. We're still seeing a hell of a lot of the company that shall not be named buildings. And I'll put my hands up. I've got about £200 worth of them up in the attic waiting to be put together. So, I'm as guilty as that as anyone else. So I don't think it's as bad for the hobby. Yeah. When there was just one manufacturer, it was awful. Yeah, now there's a lot of manufacturers. I think it's a lot better, to be perfectly honest. But there's still a lot of standardization going out there. Yeah. Now, fundamentally, I don't think pre-made terrain is bad for the hobby. Yeah, I don't think. Previously, when there was just one company, what I was seeing a lot of terrain making skills getting replaced by miniature building skills, because the skill sets required to put together the plastic kits, were exactly the same skill sets as putting together plastic men and tanks. So you were seeing terrain being built with the same skill sets. Okay, and that meant that the skill sets, like the back to basics stuff I do, the basic skills were just being lost. The materials, no one was using them. It was all plastic. Now things have definitely improved with variation, but there's still a lot of straight out of the box, straight on the table. We love it. Okay, and don't get me wrong, if you do that, that's fine. I do that. We all do that. But you're not going to get a unique battlefield doing that, are you? You know what I mean? When you look at like the pictures and someone's crafted a table and you're like, oh my God, that's beautiful. Yeah, and you can appreciate the time and the effort that's gone in. They haven't just plonked bits of terrain down. Making that terrain requires a certain amount of dedication, a certain amount of skill, and a lot of that skill is sort of learned as you go. To be perfectly honest, with big projects like that, you tend to find that you're a lot better at doing those big projects at the end of the big project than you are when you first start the big project. A lot of tools, a lot of materials, and a lot of time. Whereas plonking pre-made terrain down, you know, ka-dunk, da-da, ready build army. And you can get lots of pre-made, pre-painted, you know, there's a lot of options out there now. So is it bad for the hobby? I think, yeah, it's not as good for the hobby as we think it is. And what I'm saying is, yeah, what we've gone from is we've gone from one manufacturer who's making lots and lots of terrain. Okay. And I'm quite short in this video, aren't I? I've got my legs up. You can see I'm not teaching. It's great. And I have jammy dodges. I've drank my brew, so that's out. But just to imitate a certain famous, can't have a biscuit without a. Love that shape. Right, anyway. Eat your jammy dodger, both. Gotta keep the stocks up, lads. You know what it's like. And ladies, I've got pointed out for that, yeah. When I say guys, I mean people out there. I don't mean the specific gender, by the way. Yeah, I'll get pulled on that quite a lot. Digressing. Right, let's get back to the topic. So, pre-made terrain, we've seen a lot more variation, and that's good. Yeah, but the ease of this stuff means it's getting plonked down, and so we still are getting a standardization of terrain. Okay, and like I say, that isn't fundamentally bad. There's people who, you know, if you want to play around books and tin cans, yeah, as long as you're getting your shits and your giggles, yeah, I've got no problem with that. You know, I'm not a terrain Nazi. You know, I'm not one of these people who looks down on people's terrain. You know, whatever you do to enable you to play a game and have fun, that's what we're all here for. You know, I mean, my sort of fun, I enjoy really good looking tables. Yeah, I enjoy making the stuff. I enjoy that more than actually painting the models, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, one of my son's orcs, really nice. He's on this building here. I'm just looking at that. But, you know, I get off on that sort of stuff. I really enjoy it. And so for me, making terrain is part of the hobby. You know, it's part of the hobby that I really look forward to. Where it's part of the hobby that a lot of people get put off by, and I think that's why standardized terrain and manufactured and pre-painted terrain is so popular. Yeah, especially for people running clubs and all that sort of stuff. You know, terrain takes time. You know, it's a lot easier if you've got the funds just to buy it. But I still think there's skill sets getting lost. Do you know what I mean? You know, I did my Back to Basics series because, you know, I felt that there's valuable skills that are needed, you know, to make terrain, and slowly they're getting lost. I mean, back in the day when I first started wargaming, you couldn't buy terrain. End of. You could buy some flock, and that was about it, but you couldn't buy terrain. Yeah, and you made it, and I made a hill out of white polystyrene and about 17 layers of plaster bandage. I mean, the damn thing lasted 15 years. It was indestructible. It really was. I mean, I could stand on it to reach shells and stuff like that. But, yeah, but those skills, I think, are getting lost. And it's one of the reasons why I'm running this channel. Yeah, because I want a reference to these skills, and so people have somewhere to sort of regain. I don't want them lost. You know, I think there's something really nice about putting a custom piece of terrain down. So, pre-made terrain, not the best for the hobby, to be perfectly honest. In the long run, I will say. Short term, great. You get on the table, you're building, but in the long run, we're still with more terrain becoming available, we're losing the skills to make terrain, I think. Yeah, especially for a lot of new hobbyists who are sort of coming up, and you know, they don't even realize that we used to make it. You know, everything's manufactured and that's all they see. Obviously, there's, you know, one of the things I do is I'm not against pre-made terrain. Yeah, I do think it should be customized. Yeah, so when you get a piece, yeah, it doesn't take much effort to sort of make it your own, add a few bits, put it on a base, you know, and do a little bit of work to make that piece your own. Yeah, and once you do, that becomes unique, and I think that's far better than just plonking down pre-made terrain. Yeah, so that's the caveats with the pre-made terrain, you know. I do think long term, you know, it's not the best thing for the hobby. Yeah, because we'll end up with you know, a lot of standardized terrain, and I think we'll get skills that are lost. Yeah, I'm not dissing any terrain manufacturers, by the way. Like I say, I buy the stuff, it's up there, it's in the cupboards, I use it. You know, I'm just saying, you know, overall my gut feelings. So guys, I'm going to throw this out to you because it's been about 10 minutes now. That's my feelings, yeah? Overall, pre-made terrain, it's nice. Yeah, the terrain's come a long way. But I think, it's nowhere near as good as, custom pieces of making your own terrain. It really isn't. And I think, it's a possibility for converting. But I think the more we concentrate on buying terrain out of boxes, the more we're going to we're going to lose the skills to actually build the terrain within the community. Okay, there's always going to be terrain builders around, people like me, and the other terrain builders out there, Viv, Mike, Adam, Terrainaholic. What is his name? If anyone knows Terrainaholic's actual name, because I keep calling Terrainaholic, shout it in the comments. Or dude, tell me your name. But overall, that's what I think. So guys, I'm going to throw this out to you. What are your thoughts? Is pre-made manufactured terrain bad for the hobby? What are your thoughts, guys? Drop them in the comments, yeah? I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys say on this one. So, you have a good one. I've got shed loads to do, but I've got to go clean the kids' rooms first, and then more corners. That's corner. That's corner. That's corner. That's corner. That's corner. And that's coming on. But more foam board tutorials, and there's resin everywhere. Yeah. And the thing about resin is, you can pour it. Lost. Anyway, I digress. Listen, guys, you have a good one. Yeah. Drop your comments in. I'm looking forward to seeing them. All the best, guys. Ta-ra.